Well, greetings and salutations. This is the first one I got. A Walkera QRX 350, and if you've never flown before, don't buy one of these or any 350 size quad. If you've never flown a quad before, get one of the little cheap ones. When you start getting into 350 and 450 series quads, these are nice if you don't understand the electronics and how to set all that stuff up. You can buy these ready to fly out of the box. And once you learn how to fly, then you can graduate to something like this. Now this is a 350 millimeter series quad, and that measurement's measured between the axes diagonally across the quadcopter. In comparison, this is a 450 frame. This is just a generic DJI 450 knockoff I got on eBay for 15 bucks. The legs are $6.50 off of eBay. The camera gimbal was, I think, $57 plus shipping. I think it was 64 bucks total off of eBay. And that's a 2-axis gimbal. And maybe you saw the test footage I put up of the camera gimbal. And compare that test footage with the footage that I got at the charcoal kilns when I didn't had my excuse me, I had my GoPro solidly mounted at this point right here. There was no gimbal. I'll show you how that works in a minute. But I had a new subscriber ask me about quadcopters and he's thought about getting one, and what would my recommendation be, and that would be my recommendation would be to get something cheap, something small, something that you can crash repetitively and not have to worry about, you know, replacing the frame. You know, they're so small and so light that they pretty much crash them into the ground under full throttle, and you know, just pick them up, dust them off, and go flying again. Whereas these tend to shatter into a million pieces. You know, there's nothing more gut-wrenching than to watch $400 fall out of the sky and bust into several pieces. That sucks. So, yeah, I would not recommend buying. In fact, when I bought this, you couldn't fly it at all. It was totally unflyable for me. And there's a host of reasons why, but suffice it to say, it was an expensive learning curve. Now, so you can see the camera stays fixed on the horizon regardless of the orientation of the quadcopter. And it does have its limitations, but it's only a $60 gimbal. It's not like a $120 gimbal. You get to a certain point and it has little fits. But if you're flying at that angle, you're not going to get a good camera shot anyway. You're flying pretty violently. Update. So, what you just saw was you know, an overview of my quadcopter and the camera gimbal. And just to recap, the camera gimbal I was having problems with, and I am no expert in the technology that these fine pieces of flying machinery utilize, and I have a rudimentary understanding at best of how they work. But the problem that I was having in the beginning with the gimbal was that it was vibrating, and it was vibrating so bad that it was actually creating a bigger problem than what I was trying to solve. Now, if you go back and watch the aerial footage that I took at the charcoal kilns, for example, I had ordered a gimbal at that point, but it hadn't arrived. So I just had my GoPro camera in the GoPro case, hard mounted right to the frame of the quadcopter, and you can see that it's the perspective that you have is the perspective as if you were sitting on a frame and viewing the world through the pilot seat, or first person view. Yeah, that's the perspective you get. With the gimbal, you end up creating a situation where the camera can be stabilized and focused on the horizon regardless of the yaw and the pitch of the quadcopter. So the quad can be doing this back and forth, side to side, and the camera will stay level and steady. Well, the gimbal was fighting some kind of imbalance, and the motors were vibrating. This is an example of what I'm talking about. Check this out. Yeah, so what was happening is, you could see once I took off, it was creating jello, and that's what I was trying to, the jello effect. You saw the ripples in the video, and that's from the vibration, not only from the motors on the quad, but from the motors on the gimbal of gyrating, and you can hear it audibly. A few days ago, it was pretty calm, at least at the ground level. It was pretty calm, so I wanted to go out and see. And get some really high footage. So I stepped out in the driveway and I took off, and it's the highest flight to date. Check it out. And then at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the video stops, which is really unfortunate, because at about 3 minutes, I lost radio contact, and it did a little jerky move, and it started to veer off to the north. Well, I cut the throttles back to 40% to kind of bring the thing down, and it started to descend, and but it was still moving away from me, and I was trying to get the thing to come back, and it would not, for the life of me, it would not come back towards me. and then it started dropping like a stone. And I hit the throttles, full throttle. At this point, you could hear the motors rev up, but it was still dropping like a stone, and it was not responding to any stick inputs for, you know, moving away or towards or anything. It was just falling, but it was falling in a controlled rate. I could move it ever so slightly. I just couldn't get it to come towards me rapidly enough to get it back onto our property, and it crashed. And it took me, actually I had to wait until after dark to go find it, because where it landed, it was in a vacant lot between two houses, and it's just, I mean, I walked by it 3 times and I never saw it. It just completely, a lot of scrub brush out in that area, and it was just obscured, and I wasn't looking directly at it. So I walked by it a few times, and I brought it back home, really discouraged. Yeah, it broke one of the arms, it broke the circuit board, and but didn't break any of the motors or the SCs, as far as I can tell. Those things are running fine, but it really did a number on my camera and gimbal. So let's take a look at that. So here she is on the bench. Got one broken arm. The circuit board, of course, I desoldered everything already, but this is where the camera gimbal was mounted, on this piece here. And when it came down flat. And remember the white plastic legs, those completely, I mean, they just splayed and snapped. And then, of course, this is the part that was mounted to the frame. And I made this mount. This is designed to fit on a DJI Phantom, and this is just zip tied on. I'm surprised it didn't break the zip ties. But and then this is held on here with some rubber balls. I'll show you those. These little rubber balls, and that's what isolates the vibrations from the motor from the camera. And those, you know, fit through the hole like that and like that. So one of those, I didn't find it, was gone. It bent the crap out of this thing. I beat it back into shape, but you can see this motor mount here is broken. I can get these gimbal frames for like 16 bucks. So that's, and the board's intact, and so, and the motors are still good, but everything else has been straightened out. But you know, I could probably make something like that if I wanted to, but for 16 bucks I'll just buy another frame. Everything's disassembled right now. I've got 4 more arms from the last frame that I had to buy, because remember when the motor came off the Walkera? You know, I had the Walkera motors on this quadcopter, and one motor came apart, so I had to buy a new frame. These are the legs from that. And I can get on eBay, I can get a new top and bottom plate for, I think, 10 bucks. So for $30, I can, 30 or 40 bucks, I can rebuild the thing. But I'm starting to have, and it broke the top plate too. On further inspection, the top plate's got a big crack in it, so I'll just replace that. But the control board on this unit is a Naze 32 Acrofly, and it doesn't have GPS capability. They do make a board that has GPS capability, but I don't have the one that has GPS capability. For a camera platform, I think it's in everybody's best interest. It's in my best interest anyway, to have some kind of fail-safe, so that if for some reason I lose radio contact, that has the capability of returning to the place where it took off. Kind of the way the Walkera was set up. So I'm going to be looking at possibly getting a new control board. This control board that I have here, this Naze 32, let me show you the size of this thing. That's the control board, and I got a couple standoffs. I had it mounted to the frame, mounted to the underside of the frame like that. But that's the bottom of the control board. And to give you a frame of reference, Not that big. 1 3/8 approximately square. So that little board is what makes that quadcopter fly in a kind of stable way, you know, in a controllable way. But I think I might build myself a little 250 size quad and use this control board for that, and get like an Acro or an Pilot 2.5 for a camera platform. But right now I'm just going to put this thing back together, and so I got something to fly. I can do that for 40 or 50 bucks. So I crashed again. So, Rick, to answer your question, if you want to get into flying a quadcopter, go to Amazon.com, type in quadcopter in the search bar there, and you'll come across a bunch of little $40, $30, $50 micro quads. Buy one of those and learn how to fly first. Don't spend $400 or $500 on a DJI or a 350 series quad that you're promptly going to take out in the backyard and crash. Get a micro quad, something small, so you can learn how the flight characteristics. You can crash those things all day long, pick them up and fly them again. And if you happen to do break it, you're only out 40 bucks, 50 bucks instead of 400 or 500. So, but I'm not telling you what to do. So there'll be no aerial footage for the foreseeable future until I can assemble enough parts to rebuild this thing. End of update. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and click on the subscribe button for more of these shenanigans. And if you're so inclined, go ahead and give me a comment down in the comment section. Rate, I like those. And until next time, you have yourself a splendid day. I'm gonna go crying my cornflakes. Bye.